Now have to do the drawing of the head, and unless you have a drawing, a picture or a template or something to use, obviously you have to do it freehand. I'm going to try and do it freehand here. Being left-handed, cack-handed as some people say, I'm going to do it from this side, and my pheasant's head, and bring underneath there. I think you'll agree at this stage this piece of horn is starting to look a little bit more like a pheasant. However, the next thing we're going to need to do is to close the angle down, because this head here seems to lift up rather acutely and I want it to be a different angle, so I'm going to squeeze that down and bend it at this point. A bit more. Now, if you look at it from the front and from the side, I think you'll agree that looks a bit more like a beak. What we'll do next is move on to this area here, which is where the bird breathes through. This is basically its nose, and if you look at this front way, you can see it's very, very wide. On the real bird, it's very much narrower than that. So we're actually going to get a chisel and start chiseling some of that area out. So let's just continue to clean that up for a moment. Okay, now let's have a look and see what we've got. I think the nose area, as you can see, looks a bit better. Right, now I've filed the handle section here fairly round now. It can be made better later, of course, because we'll be sanding it. But edge of the feathers first. Now the second row of feathers will go just, and as you can see, it's a very long job, so I'm going to settle down for the next 2 or 3 hours and complete the rest of this feathering, and then you can see when it's finished. Right, now let's take it out of the vise and see what we've got. As you can see here, the back feathers aren't in a solid line all the way around. I personally feel that if you do make a hard line, it doesn't look quite so good. So I finish on a line to begin with and then put an odd feather overlapping at intermediate points all the way around. Also, since you've been gone, I've taken a little bit more out of the beak here because it does have a little dish through the middle of the beak. Now we also have some black areas, and I don't want it too strong here, just behind the eye. Right, let's get some red on there now. Now, although when colouring horn I like to do it as delicately as possible, if you're actually dealing with something like a pheasant, where you've got very strong colours, and really what we've got to do is do that all over. Now I think we've more or less got as much orange as we need on there, and what I'm going to do next is add just a touch of yellow with orange. So what I'm really doing is bringing the orange up in colour a fraction to a slightly lighter colour again. I think we've got just about enough on there, enough to give the beak a sheen. and it actually picks out that extra shine, picks up the green on those feathers there, and also the black lines that you can see around these back feathers. I think they stand out a bit more now, which is good. Well, that's it. We've finished the pheasant's head. I've had fun doing it. I hope you've learned something from watching, and if you've not done anything like this before, maybe it's encouraged you to have a go. I do hope so.